Won everywhere he's been.
I mean, was that not just the worst press conference you guys have seen in your fucking lives or what, chat? Holy shit, that press conference was terrible. That was one of the worst opening press conferences I've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to react about it with you guys. I want to talk about some things. Not much to talk about. I really thought I'd be here sitting with you guys, excited and ready to talk about some things, but we got nothing. Not a single fucking thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PGHChris TV. I am your host, PGHChris, here giving you my reaction to that pathetic ass press conference that we just saw with the Pittsburgh Steelers introducing Mike McCarthy alongside Pittsburgh Steelers general manager Omar Khan and Steelers president Art Rooney II. But before we get into the review, before we get into that pathetic ass press conference, and I talk about the few things that I took out of it, a quick word from our sponsor, DUBBY Energy. All right, everybody, make sure to use code PGHChris at checkout for 10% off your order for DUBBY. Join the DUBBY movement and be better. And a quick thank you to all of our partners and sponsors of the PGHChris TV show. Now, let's get back to our program. All right, everybody, make sure to use. That is DUBBY Energy, the official sponsor of PGHChris and Crossbody Sports, ladies and gentlemen. With the football season being over, with a bunch of my friends here from back home wanting to get into the podcasting and all that other stuff here, decided to create I changed PGHChris Productions. It is still a media production, but I will add sport. I'm adding sports. My friends will be taking care of that. I'm taking care of stuff here on PGHChris TV and doing a lot of stuff on the Sports Jedi Network. So that's where you can find me, and you can catch up my friends over there soon when everything's all made. But yes, Crossbody Sports is the new rebranded name for PGHChris Productions. So let's get into that. That's that. But let's talk about this pathetic ass press conference, because this is what you guys are here for. So obviously, we know Mike McCarthy got it. It was announced that he was our head coach over the weekend, or whatever it was last week. And today or yesterday, they announced that today at 2:00, they will be doing a press conference to introduce head coach Mike McCarthy. Press conference lasted 37 minutes, and I wish I can get that 37 minutes back, because holy shit, I mean that I've never seen a much boring press conference in my life. I gotta be honest. But there are a few things I want to take out of it. So they started off and they introduced Mike McCarthy. Well, Steelers president Art Rooney II introduces Mike McCarthy. Gets very, very emotional. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's been a fan of Chuck Noll his whole life. Chuck Noll is his whole inspiration on why he wanted to become a coach. Being that Pittsburgh kid in the 70s watching Steelers football. It was a good sob story, but I'll let it slide, because if there is one person, that probably does, out of this whole coaching search, that I still think you're putting a band-aid on a situation that needs stitches. I'm going to use that phrase a lot throughout the season unless these people prove me wrong. But they're putting bandages on situations that need stitches. And if I had to take a positive out of it, if there is one person that does know the Steelers' way in this coaching candidate, which I will get into that in a second, Omar Khan, because you had no coaching candidate. That's bullshit. You knew Mike McCarthy was going to be your head coach the minute you interviewed him. As soon as that graphic went out and you said that we conducted an in-person interview, you were going to hire him. How come he was the only one that did the in-person interview? You didn't even wait for anybody. You didn't even wait till the Rams were out of the NFC Championship. You didn't wait for anybody. So the fact is that, oh no, we interviewed some head coaches, virtually, and this and that. We felt like Coach McCarthy. Look, because I'm not going to downplay his resume. He's a Super Bowl champion. But when Omar Khan sits here and tells me he's had success over the last few years of his coaching career, are we forgetting the Dallas Cowboys? That was last year. I get it. He didn't coach this year. It is easily to forget all the shit that Mike McCarthy didn't do for the Dallas Cowboys. What did he do for the Cowboys? What makes him this elite coach? I think that's bullshit, Omar. You knew you were going to hire this man from the second you conducted that in person. As soon as you said, hey, I want it to be in person. Before he even showed up into the fucking facility, you knew that man was going to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So stop with that bullshit. He was the best candidate he was the best candidate out of our candidate group. Shut the fuck up. Cut the shit out. Cut the crap. Mike McCarthy was asked the spicy question. And I'm going to play you guys the question that was asked. And I think this is the question that everybody wanted. This is the only question I thought was worth talking about, because you reporters fucking suck. Brooke Pryor from ESPN, highly disappointed, because when you said Brooke Pryor, ESPN, I'm like, okay, finally, we're going to get an intelligent question. You asked the same shit somebody asked 3 questions ago. Please watch this and tell me what you guys think. I really want you guys to digest this.
Your own personal preference. In your best case scenario, do you want Aaron Rodgers back as your quarterback next year?
That's nice the way he asked that, right? That was slick. But I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. But I think just like anything, knowing Aaron long enough, going through seasons, I think when players, to see Mel Blunt here, I mean, when guys are up at that stage of their career, they need to step away and decompress. I think that's very important. The game is so emotional, what these men commit to and what they put into it. I think that time away is important, and I have spoken to Aaron. And
Stop! What do you mean you've spoken to Aaron? What does that mean? Oh God! What does that mean? Let's finish it. Let's just finish it.
That's really where we are there. But I was able to sit back and watch the games. I watched most of the Pittsburgh games on TV, and I thought he was a great asset for the team.
You thought he was a great asset for the team. Motherfucker, you want him to be our quarterback again next year, don't you? What do you mean you've spoken to Aaron Rodgers? Was this before or after the interview? Did you speak to him and say, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to interview for the Pittsburgh Steelers position? Was that before? Or when all this shit was announced, did you tell Aaron, hey, I'm the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to tell you before it goes public and you find out, via social media. What do you mean you spoke to? See, this is why I wish I was in the fucking room, because you reporters suck. I would have asked, I would have followed up. When did you speak to Aaron Rodgers? Before or after you were announced as the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Before or after you conducted your in-person interview in the facility. Now, does he have to? No. But if you weren't going to go into specific details, Mike McCarthy, you should have kept that to yourself. Because now it's going to be speculation. Now it's going to be, is Aaron Rodgers going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback next year? I will say, they emphasized a lot about Will Howard. I think when it comes to Will Howard, I mean, they talk about developing quarterbacks, Mike McCarthy, Omar Khan's the reason why, currently to Omar, the big reason why Mike McCarthy was even hired was because he knows an eye for quarterbacks. They addressed it. I want you guys to listen to this one because we know Mike McCarthy is very, very offensive heavy. And when he gets asked about the defense, I want you guys to take a look. Take a listen. I mean, a whole lot of nothing. That's that's honestly what I take out of that. A whole lot of nothing. I can't find the clip. I don't have the clip lined up. But I will paraphrase. One of the reporters asked Mike McCarthy about simple, straight up, are you going to call the plays on offense? And Mike McCarthy confirmed he will call the plays on offense. All right. This is what I don't understand. Well, Chip Kelly goes to Ohio State. Or excuse me, Arthur Smith. Holy hell. We've mixed coordinators the last couple of years, so bear with me. We get Arthur Smith to leave. He goes to Ohio State. He's been named new offensive coordinator over there. So it looks like we're not getting an offensive coordinator, huh? Because another question that was asked later on, I'm not playing these fucking questions because they suck. Question was asked about staff. And Mike McCarthy's, he's not telling us who he has in mind, obviously, not that I expect him to. He's not really saying much, but he's saying, build the staff, build the staff. He goes to so are we not getting an offensive coordinator? Or are we not going to have that? Is Mike McCarthy our offensive coordinator? Because here's my thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to look into this camera right now and I'm going to tell Steelers Nation this. I'll jump on any podcast that invite me, any shows that, want to have this debate with me. I've been saying this for 2.5 years now. Mike Tomlin has been the defensive coordinator this entire time. Over the last 2 years, maybe even longer, well, that I've taken notice. Maybe I took notice too late. Terrell Austin gets a lot of the blame. Let's see what this man can do without Tomlin in his ear. I still believe Tomlin's was in that man's ear on his headset. Yo, no, we're not calling that. Change it. Change it. I believe it. I do. I mean, how could I not? We know Tomlin's a defensive guy. So I don't know, man. I just think this press conference was fucking pathetic. If I'm being honest, I thought it was boring. The questions were terrible. Not one good. I mean, at least they nailed nailed it out of the bag, right? Which somebody asked about Tomlin, which he asked it in a very, very slick way. But I he just got emotional the entire time. And I get it. I do. But I got nothing out of it. I really didn't. Look, we're going to see where this goes. Maybe more news might happen. Maybe we get a staff. Maybe Aaron Rodgers finally, answers. I'm not saying he has to now. I'm not saying there's a rush, but maybe he answers the question that people are wondering, right? Is he going to be the quarterback next year? Because if not, look, they talked a lot about Will Howard, right? Just develop Will Howard. Just give Will Howard that starting spot. I think you give Will Howard that starting spot, we're fine. But you still want to I still think you get a veteran quarterback. I heard a lot of talks about Malik Willis. I'm hoping they don't go that route. What the fuck is Malik Willis going to do for Pittsburgh? I'd rather go out and get Justin Fields. That's just me. That's just me, ladies and gentlemen. I'd rather go out there and get Justin Fields, and I might be the only person in the world that thinks that. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching this quick reaction. Sorry that this press conference was so fucking boring. Nothing much to talk about there, but a few things stood out here.